Tipperary-1-30, Waterford-1-21 from Semple Stadium. Tipperary win this game and put themselves very, very close to a Munster final and very, very close to making it into the next round of the championship. Tipperary, superb in this game. Well worth the win.
Yeah, absolutely well worth the win. And it wasn't looking that way after 30, 40 seconds. Because I was barely paying attention. And then at the start of the game, next minute, the ball was in the back of the net from Stephen Bennett. And I just thought, right, okay, this is interesting. After 40 seconds, Tip were 4 points down. And you were like, right, Waterford, they've come out firing. That's a good sign. Can they keep this up? I suppose when the game settled, Tipperary came back into it. Waterford will be kicking themselves though. They hit a lot of very poor wides in this game. A lot of, at times, poor decision making, poor shooting. Just by the standards that you'd have for a lot of intercounty hurlers, their shooting was very, very, very poor. But they still had a lot of great performing. Stephen Bennett, they probably relied on him a bit too much, I would say, to be honest with you, to get the scores for them. Do you know, like, I think he gave Michael Breen a very tough afternoon still, I think. But when they're going for him for every single score, or even Jamie Barron as well, kind of like Cian Lynch, he was the main man trying to set up scores, trying to track back, trying to, get the ball into the full forward line. A full forward line, which you look at Déise Hutchinson, I think he got 1 point today, but other than that, he was fairly anonymous. It's not been a good, really season from him, to be honest with you, by the standards that he has set over the last number of years, both for Waterford and for Ballygunner. So a very frustrating afternoon for him. For Tipperary, I mean, Andrew Ormond is really coming to his own the last couple of weeks. I mean, he got 3 points for play, but just his aerial ability, his work rate, tracking back, setting up scores. It really was a day for centre forwards. I can tell you that. It was fantastic from a load of them today. I think that performance against Clare last week, getting the 2 goals, has really, really spurred him on. And a big shout out to Darren McCarthy as well. I mean, look, he didn't score from play. Scores were frees. But he gave a torrid afternoon to the Waterford full back line. Like, he was catching balls, he was winning frees, his movement was good, his work rate was the best I've seen from him in a very, very long time too. And it kind of looked like after that red card he got against Cork, he wanted to prove a point and say, listen, this is my spot. And look, he's young as well. He made the mistake. It's not one that I imagine he's going to make ever again, but he was exceptional. I felt Owen Connolly probably struggled at the start, but he came into the game really well in the second half, hit 3 fantastic long-range points. Jake Morris has really turned into that real spark that Tipperary have needed over the last while. He's big, strong. Anytime he got on the ball and struck it, you just knew it was over the bar. He strikes the ball so purely, he hits the ball so straight. Tipperary were well worked. They hit 6 points on the board at one stage in the second half. Waterford kind of shot themselves in the foot from that perspective. They replied back, hitting 3 in a row then, and then the goal from Oisin O'Donoghue on the pitch, I would say 10-15 seconds, and the ball's in the back of the net. Mentioning the Limerick bench, the Tipperary bench as well, Keneally hitting a beautiful point over the bar as well. So 12 seconds, there you go. Incredible stuff there. So for Tipperary, a much needed performance from Liam Cahill as well. I think we can put to bed that Liam Cahill syndrome as well, of only performing in the league and not for Ronan Maher put in a huge captain's performance as well. It was just a real all-round brilliant performance from Tipperary. It's the strongest, the fastest, and the most accurate I've seen Tipperary playing really in a long time. I was actually more impressed with this today than I was last week, because people will say Clare on the downfall and they had a poor league campaign, they had a championship campaign, but it's always difficult to rack up a really positive victory like that against the All-Ireland champions with another solid performance the following week, especially in front of your own crowd as well, and in the temperatures that they had today as well. You got to give massive credit to Tipperary. They deserve to go through to the All-Ireland series, and they will not fear any team from the Munster Championship, but they absolutely will not fear anyone from Leinster either. Liam Cahill will certainly look at this and think, we've got a chance here of potentially going far this year.
I agree. I think if you get out of the Munster Championship, you're one of the contenders for the All-Ireland. Fully look at it that way, because you got to look at it like this. Like, how good were Waterford last season and they didn't manage to get out? Like, how good have we seen teams be in the past that have not managed to get out of the Munster Championship? Cork, I remember 2 years ago, Cork played Limerick in that final game in the Munster Championship. They lost by a point. They scored 130. They had a 76% shot accuracy, and they still lost to Limerick and exited the championship as a result of that. So I always looked at it as well, especially 2023. I remember saying with Matthew when we were talking about could anybody topple Limerick in terms of the All-Ireland, and Matthew and I were saying that if you want to topple them, you have to get them in the Munster Championship and they have to finish fourth, because if they get out of Munster, nobody's beating them because it's going to be too that helter-skelter. The Munster Championship really is just, it's impossible to beat. The quality, the competitiveness, everything like that. It's just unbelievable. Ger has a really good point here. He seems interesting that 3-4 games in that Queally hasn't really used Ozzie Gleeson. I mean, he was brought back into kind of minimal fanfare, minimal hype, and he hasn't really played that big a part. It's not like the return of the king. Like he's had a bit part role for Waterford, and he hasn't really been around at the key stages of games.
Yeah, it's a strange one, actually. This is terrible. I completely forgot that he wasn't even been used, and that kind of just shows you that he's nearly been sort of forgotten by a lot of people, that he hasn't been playing games. And you do wonder now, would he have made a difference today? Could he have been a bit of an extra spark, whether that been in the back or in the forward lines? Because, I mean, Kenny at cornerback was getting fleeced. At cornerback, Tyke Burka wasn't as good as he has been over the last number of weeks, even since his return from injury. Were they relying too much on Stephen Bennett and possibly at the start as well, Mikey Kiley in the forward line to do the damage? Could he have done different? Look, it's hard to know, because look, only Queally knows what he's doing in training or what he's doing off the pitch, how he's minding himself. Like these players, they're big names, of course, but at the end of the day, if they're not doing it in training, if they're not doing it outside of training, if they're not, minding themselves or whatever.
But then why ask him back? That's the thing that I don't understand, because he was gone. Queally brings him back in and then doesn't use him. It's like, but it's not like, you see, when Dublin brought back Diarmuid Connolly, for example, in 2019, like Jim Gavin brought him back, and it was very clear what he was. He was an impact sub for the last 20 minutes of the game. That's what he was used as throughout the entire year. But with Gleeson, it's like sometimes he's been brought in early, sometimes he's been brought off early, and he doesn't seem to have a defined role. And I think for a player with the talent that he has, and on top of that, he is just a match winner. He's a player that could walk into the Waterford team, in my opinion, if he's at 100%. I don't fully understand. Pádraig Glennon says, Galway to beat the Dubs in Parnell Park. I'll disagree with you on that one, Pádraig. I think that we'll actually have their number. They have never beaten Dublin in the round robin. So I don't think that's going to change this year. I could be proven wrong, but hopefully not. Fiona says, Limerick are the only team with a plus points difference in the round robin, plus 22. Unbelievable stuff. If Tip get to the final, they'll be at home. Waterford will need no pep talk. Everyone will be rooting for them. Scooby says Tip would hammer Galway. Interesting. Bit of a hot take from Scooby there, but I do shade Tip to win that game, to be honest, right now. But yeah, so as that stands now in the Munster Championship, unbelievable that we have to mention this too before we move on. First of all, I want to say massive congratulations to Tipperary on their performance. Superb stuff. There's comments in about how Tip are a coming side. And let's be honest, I don't think it's a question of if Tipperary will win an All-Ireland in the next however many years. It's when. What year are they going to make that jump? What year are those lads going to break through? Because the Andrew Ormans, the Darren McCarthy's, that generation that are coming, there's too many good players for Tipperary not to have a world-class team very, very soon. So it's just when can they make that jump? So I do think this year, in terms of winning an All-Ireland, is too early for them, but they have been showing serious signs of improvement and significant improvement. And the draw with Limerick was a real indicator of that. But yeah, we are finished talking about Munster, the games that took place today, but we have to talk about one connotation, Liam, which unbelievably, the All-Ireland Hurling champions are officially out of the championship. Clare are no more. They will not defend their All-Ireland title in 2025. You would have been a brave man to say that at the start of the year.
And I said it at the predictions. I said Clare would go out. I don't have many, so I'm taking this one. Thank you. I don't have many wins. I also said Galway would go out and probably rightfully got a few bad comments or people probably saying, what's this guy on about? But yeah, I just wasn't convinced by Clare. I mean, look, everyone says you can't judge, say, championships on the league, but if you're All-Ireland champions and you're getting relegated, and some of the performances that they put into the league were very, very pitiful. I felt from the game against Wexford at home when Tony Kelly was brought back, and obviously Lee Jim was brought back for Wexford, which was a massive, massive plus for them. I just said, are they going to be as good this year as they were over the last number of years? And you looked at them, but they should have lost to Cork, realistically. By halftime, they were best. They got a great comeback against them, but they were well off the pace that game. Well off the pace against Waterford. Like, I was in Nolan Park, so I didn't see last Saturday, so I didn't see the full Clare and Tip game, but I saw the scoreline after 20 minutes, and I was just amazed. I was like, how do Tip have 4 goals after 20, 25 minutes? This is insane, to be honest with you. And yeah, no, they've gone out, and rightfully so, in my opinion. They've not been good enough this year. I do worry what could happen to them in the Gaelic grounds in a couple of weeks' time. Now, look, they'll always raise their game for Limerick, but like, albeit now it's a dead rubber. Realistically, Limerick are in the Leinster.
Limerick are in the Limerick final.
All the Limerick final at this point. It's been a long day, but they're in the Munster final, and Clare are out, so it is a bit of a dead rubber now. But I suppose they'll want to try and sign off in the right way. They didn't defend their title well, like was said there in 2014, and they've not defended it well this year. And yeah, no, whether next weekend will be Brian Lohan's last game as Clare manager, it'd be interesting to see. Whether it could be the last game for some players, it could be Shane O'Donnell's last game for Clare. You never know, because he's kind of said that this might be his last year before he goes off to try to be an astronaut, or what I think that's what he's looking to do. So yeah, no, it'll be It's not a wrongful position at all. It's a right position that Clare are gone, and yeah, new All-Ireland champions this year.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was something a bit off about them all year. I mean, I go back to the Cork-Clare league game where Cork scored 6 goals past them, and I was just thinking, right, okay, maybe it can be a bad day at the office, but like, that was humiliating. And if you look back through the history books, teams that break ducks, break famines for winning All Irelands, they don't tend to go back to back. Like, Dublin won it in 2011, didn't win it in 2012. Limerick themselves won it in 2018, didn't win it in 2019. Donegal won it in 2012 in the football, didn't win it in 2013. Like, there's so many examples of when a team breaks a duck and finally gets to the Holy Grail, it's difficult to get yourself to climb that mountain again the following year. So, yeah, it's really, really interesting to see how they're going to handle it. Are they going to come back? Is this going to be the call now for some key players to depart? Are we going to see John Conlon next year? Are we going to see Shane O'Donnell next year? Are we going to see Brian Lohan as manager next year? It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But Fia Innes probably has the best way to sum up this weekend. Favourites smashed, champions out with a game to play. That's how crazy the Munster Championship has been. And yeah, it's just been absolutely crazy. And I personally think it's not the last that we've seen of them, but it proves that the Munster Championship doesn't give a damn what you've done. You have to get the points on the board, or else you'll be out. Rudders backs up what I'm saying, in my opinion. He says Armagh won it last year, won't be winning it this year. There's a hot take for you. You might have to run away, Rudders. All the Armagh fans will come for you now. But on top of that, we have more comments in. Rudders also says Clare should bring back Davy Fitz. Interesting. I mean, Davy Fitz replacing Brian Lohan. They're not exactly sending each other Christmas cards. I think that would be an interesting handoff of the baton. Fianna says the most successful team in the round robin since it started was Clare. Limerick never topped the round robin. Very, very interesting stat. Sean I says great comeback from Dublin. The bench really made an impact with the likes of Fergal Wiley and Ronan Hayes. Positive signs going forward. Yes, we are going to come to that game next, because the Munster Championship chat on this particular episode is done. But if you want to ask any questions about it or throw in your personal highlights,